Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mercatus' podcast, Digital Grocer, episode 29, right here live at NRF2020. I'm Sylvain, President and CEO of Mercatus Technologies, and joining me today is Mark Fairhurst, our Senior Director of Marketing. Mark.
Hello, everyone.
And we have a bit of a special guest joining us. I don't think he's ever been on one of our podcasts. Our VP of Client Experience, Frank Laudadio.
How is everyone doing today?
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a voice for broadcast.
He's got a voice for broadcast. New York has been good to us. NRF has been great for us. It's been an interesting show. I mean, I walked the pavilion at least twice. A lot of interesting stuff that we saw. I think the more interesting thing that we saw in New York is last night we took some clients out to watch the Clemson LSU game.
And how was that experience?
It was a great experience. You know, I like a good cigar once in a while.
Yeah.
So we ended up going to Soho Cigar on, I can't remember the name of the street. It's like a really small street down in Soho, obviously. And we walked in and Ray Lewis was sitting in the corner with his entourage. We were promptly told not to take any pictures.
Yeah, I don't think he would like that.
Well, no, Tim was holding his phone in an awkward way and somebody from the entourage thought he was trying to take a picture.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we had a special Canadian walk in.
And who was that?
Ty Domi. Really?
Yeah,
For
Ty
all
Domi.
those hockey fans.
Yeah, Ty Domi from the Leafs. And then we were meeting with John Deanna and Trent Brookshire from Brookshire's, and we spent maybe 45 minutes to an hour together. They had a pretty long day, so they came back. And it was a long day yesterday.
Doing the trade shows, it can be grueling.
It can be grueling. You know, we made the choice last year when we renewed to come to NRF to come down to level 1.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think level 1 is...
No regrets?
Absolutely none, because level 1 is one of the special places on the trade show floor where you're actually going to see more innovation in any case. You know, at the top, you know, they're bigger corporations, they're more well-established.
Yeah.
I think there's more... I hate to say this, I think there's more bureaucracy when you're dealing with those types of corporations. And I think it's a little bit more difficult to get to the bottom what you're really trying to achieve in your relationship with your customers. We had a good turnout.
Yeah, I know the booth traffic has been consistent.
Yeah.
We've had, I think, most of our clients come by the booth.
Yeah, let's face it. We got a great setup here, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turned out very well. Kudos to the marketing team.
Yeah, you guys did a great job, and we celebrated Emmy's birthday yesterday. Well, you guys did.
Yes.
The rest
Emmy's on the marketing team.
Yes, she's on the marketing team.
She actually makes everything happen.
She makes everything happen.
That's right.
Well, now you have it on the record, folks. So there you go. But, you know, was there anything that stood out for you guys at the show? Like anything that you saw?
For me personally, I think it was the traction and the exposure that we were able to get at the booth of our IO1 product.
Yep.
I thought that was quite astonishing. There was a lot of eyeballs, a lot of people coming to the booth.
Yeah.
Clients included. Really appreciative of, you know, what we've done and what we brought here to the show. Really exciting.
And we blitzed a bunch of podcasts.
I think 5 in total so far.
Yeah.
We've got one more scheduled for today.
We do. Yeah, and that's going to be kind of cool.
Yeah.
The one thing that I really appreciated in being here at NRF and kind of, you know, Digital Grocer deciding to bring its equipment, to do a recording and so on, was the fact that we actually got to interview Ed Wong from Smart and Final, such an enlightening individual to chat with. We also had a chance to interview Ron Bonacci from Weis Markets. Ron said something that was fairly pivotal in my estimation. It's this notion of hyperconnectivity with the consumer and this integration of health and wellness that I thought it really resonated with me, and I think it will resonate with our audience as well. And it's not just a notion of using AI for the sake of AI, but it's the ability to do good with AI, which is fairly critical.
And anybody who has any medical or health issue, knowing what you're putting in your body is critical.
Right.
And technology that is enabling grocers to be able to better serve their shoppers, their customers, with that information.
Yeah.
And just for us to be a part of it, and that's exciting.
You just saying that triggered something for me. Grocery retailers are the first line of defense and the first line of offense in terms of your health. That's fairly critical in this day and age, and we're not getting any younger.
No.
Right, and we're dealing with aging population. You know, retirement age is going to go up. I think that's fairly inevitable.
And consumers are buying more online.
Yeah.
They want to have the information, but they also want the tools to be able to do the thinking for them.
Right.
So that they don't have to be, it's not a laborious process.
Right. Let me ask you guys a question. At one point, do you go up to an entrepreneur or a business owner who's trying to do something in this space and say, I don't think you're truly solving a problem? And maybe that's the wrong thing to say. The only reason I bring that up, I went to the Innovation Pavilion. And I think ideation and innovation are important because you have to iterate eventually to get to something. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing a lot of stuff that's not, I'm not sure if it's just, hey, this is cool tech, let's build it. I think it's interesting, let's spend some money. There's some fairly large corporations that are part of that innovation group up there, which I was a bit surprised. I saw some stuff that's really fundamentally can't be operationalized. It's not going to help the consumer. It's not going to help the retailer make money. So when is that conversation going to happen?
I mean, one of your often quoted sayings is, it's a solution looking for a problem.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of private equity and venture capital money pouring into some of these companies.
That's true.
In the hope that, in many ways, it's like gambling.
Yeah.
That you hope you invest in, all of a sudden it may land a client and go from there and start increasing your ARR. But you're right. I feel bad for the retailer sometimes because walking up and down these aisles.
Yeah.
They want to be able to serve their consumers.
Right.
But at the same time, who's helping guide them through this morass of technology companies? We're all promising to solve their problem.
Yeah.
But not telling them how or why.
Well, no one.
Yeah.
I think that's the challenge. Frank and I deal with this in some instances when we're visiting prospects.
Yeah.
We love all of our prospects, but I think the world needs to understand that a grocery retailer is dealing with, in some cases, 3% margin,
right,
if not lower. Let me rationalize that for someone that's not in the grocery retail space. That's 3 cents on the dollar. Do you know how many groceries you have to sell to actually make a decent return on everything that you're doing as a grocery retailer? So when a piece of technology lands on their lap, it needs to be really thought out. It actually needs to be extremely concrete. And you need to be able to explain the value proposition clearly to a retailer on how it's going to help them convince a consumer to add an extra item to the basket, lower their cost, and quite frankly help them increase margin or ultimately revenue. And I think that's lacking. Those aspects are lacking. You know, the one thing I didn't like about this show?
What was that?
It's a little less down here, but the moment you hit the first floor, first of all, it's a sea of everyone. Felt like I was in a funeral, first of all, because everyone's wearing a black suit of some sort. So it's very, I'm so anti-corporate, but it's super corporate upstairs. And at the same time, everyone goes into sales pitch mode.
Right.
Immediately sales pitch mode. Here's a business card. How do I get a hold of you? Can I book a meeting with you? Where's the dialogue, that we try to teach on this podcast? Again, trying to understand what the retailer needs.
Yeah, and what's keeping them up at night other than being inundated with the sales pitch from large corporations?
Now, we have some interesting stuff that's going to be happening at Mercatus, I think, in the next little while. We're probably going to have a major announcement sometime, most likely end of, beginning of Q2, mid Q2, I hope.
In spring.
Springtime. That has to be fairly well planned in any case. We're going to be traveling out towards the end of next week, third week of January. We're going to FMI Midwinter.
Always fun.
Which should be great, out in Phoenix, Arizona. Lots of activity that's going to be happening over there. At some point, we all have to come back to the office. There's tons of stuff to do. After that, Kids will be attending NGA. And I think Kevin Kidd, our director of product, will be going to Shop Talk. I think we may be doing a European show.
That would be exciting.
And what's the name of that show? Do you remember?
World Retail Congress.
At
the end of April.
And it's in Amsterdam this year.
That's
right. That's right.
Yeah, which should be interesting. So we're looking potentially forward to doing that event. And then what's the other show where actually you and I were talking about this with the folks over at
Path to Purchase?
Path to Purchase.
So the fine folks at Ensemble IQ, they actually sought us out and have asked us to be one of their lead sponsors in helping put the program together. The event's called I3. I don't think it's been published online yet, but shortly.
Yeah, it was serendipitous that we met the new CEO
Oh, at the Canadian Thought Leadership Conference.
Yeah, which was great. It was in Toronto back in 2019 on November 19th.
Yeah.
We connected with some great retailers. We're going to be hopefully announcing a new Canadian retailer that's going to become part of the Markets family.
Very soon.
Very soon.
Yeah. Very exciting.
So we're excited about that. And so we met up with her, and she told us about the event.
That's right.
I think that's in May.
It's I think May, middle of May.
Yeah. And then it's summertime, and then we're going to be going into Las Vegas.
Back to grocery shop.
Grocery shop. And grocery shop's going to be, I think, kind of interesting in terms of as an event for us in any case. I think we're thinking the format's going to be a little bit different this year for us. I think we're debating still if it's going to be a bit of a booth or something entirely different.
Yeah, we want to encourage the participation of our ecosystem partners.
Yeah.
And the ideas that we've shared with them, they all loved it. They're happy to showcase their value proposition in conjunction with Mercatus.
Yeah.
We look forward to putting that together.
Yeah, we did something different at Grocery Shop. Not Grocery Shop, NRF. My God, I'm already thinking of Las Vegas. That is not right, folks. We did something a little bit different at NRF this year. Mm-hmm. We decided to bring in a partner in our booth.
That's right.
And Spoon Guru out of the UK, out of London.
Great guys.
Great guys. Yep. The supermarket guru, Phil Lempert, works directly with them, which is really exciting. Yep. The dynamics between both of our organization, because they're part of the Commonwealth, right? I'll let you guys Google what that means. But the dynamics between both of our organizations mean there's a bit of a symbiotic relationship in the sense that their values are similar to ours.
Correct.
Right? And, and I find that interesting. And because they have a European presence, they're actually attracting some European retailers.
Right.
Even the fact they work with Tesco, it brings a level of credibility to them that's amazing, and it attracts some extremely large retailers to our booth. So it's a bit different. Yeah,
talking about your comments earlier about companies that are, looking for a problem to solve, and they come at it from the most memorable or of intentions, which is solving health problems.
Yeah.
So it's great.
The way that company was created, it was basically, I believe, Marcus's wife, who has celiac disease, and it's bad enough having that disease, but when you're trying to change your nutrition plan, and the idea was conceived in a conversation over his fence with his neighbor. In terms of how to build out this business. And you can tell he's super passionate about the business. It's a labor of love. The one thing that we learned in our conversations here, and it has to be restated for our listeners of Digital Grocer, if you're a retailer and you're going to embark on the journey of an e-commerce venture, whether you're doing it today and it's achieved a certain scale that you didn't know that it would, or you've decided years ago to co-opt what you're trying to do into the hands of a third party and you have zero control, which is very much correlated to our campaign call Back in Charge. Right, when you take back ownership of the customer, ownership of your data, ownership of your journey. Right. And so if you're about to make that big pivot to go back and to revisit what you're doing and to take control, and Ed and Ron, what they shared with us was, to quote Ed, first and foremost, you have to have a strategic plan.
Right. You don't have to have everything buttoned down.
Right.
But at least know where you want to go.
Yeah, we try to encourage stay away from the tactical process, right?
These leaders, the ones that we come across, I have to tell you, what I find they don't have is that fragmented thinking.
Right.
I find that a lot of people have fragmented thinking. They're thinking about one specific entity, and they can't really comprehend how the other pieces come into the larger picture. You talked about what we've observed here at the show. I think that, as I walked around, you see things that are very fragmented and in silo.
Yeah.
And then you come by a booth such as ours, and I think it gains a lot of attention because it really is this holistic image of all the facets, path to purchase and beyond. And that's when you're sitting down with an Ed Wong, and you're sitting down with a Ron Bonacci, and you start to really see that expanded thinking process.
Those are guys that are able to connect the dots.
There are very few of those types of individuals, right? And that's when you're building out your strategy plan. Don't get marred in tactical elements of, it needs to look this way, it needs to be this color, it needs to be this. Right. And I think, to quote Frank, at some point, Frank used to talk about this, is time to value, post your strategic plan, right?
Right.
And it's to get those pieces. How do you get something in market fairly quick and not try to have it perfect out of the gate?
Right.
But I'm not saying you should disappoint your customer or it should hamper your operational process. So once you have your strategic plan, I think then kind of the next phase is you really need to make sure that you bring the right ecosystem players into the room to be able to execute on your vision. And if you look at our work at Smart and Final, the implementation that we launched in mid to late summer in a record time, you had Mercatus, you had GK out of Germany with their team out of Raleigh. You had the folks at Inmar. You had Infosys. You had TCS. And then you had a bunch of ancillary organizations that were involved from a more minor tech perspective, but still critical. I mean, you had the folks over at Trevarian to a certain extent. You had Valera for the tax elements.
And then the shipping partners.
T-Force shipped.
Yeah, there was a lot of moving parts. I think to kind of talk about the strategic plan, also the emphasis when you're dealing with that many partners on the plan around how you're going to communicate. Right? It's quite difficult in order to really get all of these different facets of the solution to come together and really understand what that main mission of accomplishment looks like. And then making sure that when you talk to time to value is not just about delivering fast, it's about delivering the right thing fast. So you have to understand in your strategic plan, what is that ROI we're looking to achieve, and how do we, decouple that into a more agile methodology for deployment.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other piece of advice, and Ed was talking about this, is not be afraid to go get those external unbiased opinions, like Forrester, to review your user interface and leveraging those guys. I think that's fairly critical. Again, I encourage people to go back and listen to those episodes. So we're going to wrap it up, folks. It was great being here in NRF. I'm sure we'll be here in 2021 back in New York City. Their next episode that we're going to be airing, which was recorded at Mouth Media Studio here in New York City while we're at attending NRF. It's a pretty impactful episode in the sense that it's our first time actually interviewing an analyst, a marketplace expert.
Yep. And it was a great conversation and jam-packed with a lot of insights, and he's the kind of guy that tells it like it is and doesn't kowtow to his clients.
And that's Mr. Rick Watson. Rick's this prolific guy on LinkedIn. I would suggest that you guys, before you listen to the episode, go connect with him on LinkedIn. It'll be interesting because we get into some conversations around Walmart, around Amazon and FedEx. And I would encourage you guys, when you listen to the episode, just to see what's going to materialize between now and then.
Maybe some prognostication.
I think so. I think we're becoming a little bit good at that. I don't know. It's been amazing, guys, podcasting here. Thank you so much. Frank, appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much. You guys are wonderful to talk to.
Because we don't talk enough.
Yeah, exactly. And Mark, how do people get a hold of us?
Go to our website, www.mercatus.com. Access our social channels, and we'd love to hear from everyone.
And if you guys have any questions, I think don't hesitate. Either submit a comment through LinkedIn or through any of our channels, quite frankly. Or if you think there's a subject you'd like for us to do a deep dive on, don't hesitate in asking. We'd love to tackle it. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and look forward to having you guys download our next episode. Peace.